All right, so let's just do the part 2 of rational expressions. And you can see, I mean, you could really, when I was walking around in both periods, you really had to be on to do this stuff, right? Like if there's distractions going or whatever, I bet you most or all of you wouldn't be able to do any of these questions, okay? They are very, very high level of thinking. A lot of stuff going on. Common denominators, that's even a skill, finding that, and then you're multiplying, then you're adding and subtracting. I mean, it's like if you could take all of the factoring and algebra and all that stuff you've done for the last 2 years, it's all happening in one question, okay? Now, what we're going to do is start to do what look like much more complicated ones, but you will see they are not. They will not look worse than the question you just did, number 4. Okay? So, what am I talking about? Well, let's go to C. I'm going to use an example to show you. Now, remember that thing I told you should always do before you start getting into this stuff? What was it? Take out common factors, right? It will help you so much through this entire lesson. Now, look at C. Anyone know a common denominator is C? X squared plus 2x. Okay? It's not. I just want you to try this, because this is what you guys want to do, right? Is this correct? Okay. Now, what did you have to multiply for this to get this? No, you didn't multiply by 2x to get plus 2x. Remember, it's always what do you multiply to get that? Never add, never subtract. Okay? Don't change the rules. You change the rules, you're getting them wrong. I'll ask you, like, what did you do there? I added 2x. Who taught you that? In grade 5, did they teach you that? Did I teach you that? I never taught you that. It was always, what do you multiply? I always put times. Remember how I always put times 3, times 2? Right? So this doesn't work. So what do you do? Yeah? Okay, but even if I did that, what did you have to do to this to get this? If you multiply this by, yeah, I guess, yeah, that would work. Okay, you could do it that way. Very creative. A lot of work ahead of you, but it would work. Okay, so I know where your brain's at least. You're doing the right thing. Now, I just want to do one thing. Hold on for every. What if, can I factor anything in this question right now? Can I take out anything? Okay, I can make this x times x plus 2, correct? Now, is there a common denominator between these two? Think about it. X squared, x plus 2, right? Now, just work with me here. What can you do to x squared to get x squared times x plus 2? What did you do? Multiplied by x plus 2. So I can do the same thing to the top, right? What do you have to multiply by x plus 2 to get x squared x plus 2? Just multiply it by x. So when you take out common factors within, sometimes it just appears. Okay? Now, this should be 1x plus 2 minus 1x all over x squared times x plus 2. Question? Well, what I did was I looked at these two things, okay? I looked at this, and I looked at this. Now, the question that I would ask is, how can I make both of these be in together? See, this one has an x squared and an x plus 2, right? So this one is in here, and this one is in here too. Do you see? Okay? So really, if you really wanted to, you could have done this times this as you would have had x cubed times x plus 2 though, and you would have had a bit bigger, but you know how I said when in doubt multiply the two? You could have done that too. Okay? So now these are just going to cancel, and this is 2 over x squared x plus 2. Okay? Now, what would be my non-permissibles? X cannot equal 0 and negative 2. Okay? Let's keep on going here. Now, if there's something, like, do you know how that one question with the x, the 2x, the 3x, and the 4x, x was all common? So you can just put 1x. Now look up here, x plus 1 times x plus 1, x minus 2, and x plus 4x minus 2. What would be a common denominator? In other words, what would something that both of those two go into? What is something that both of those could go into? Both of those denominators. What would it be? X plus 4, x plus 1, and x minus 2. Can both of those go in there? Now, do I have to put x minus 2 twice? It's already common. If it's already common, put that as the one common. See this here? It's already common, so you don't have to do it twice. Just like, when you had x times, 3x. If you had this, you don't have to write this down. Do you see that a common denominator would be 12x? You don't have to go 12 times x times x times x. If it's already common, you don't have to do it twice. Yeah? Into here. Because x squared is in there, right? And x times x plus 2 is in there, because if I take x times x plus 2, you see how that's in there? And these two are the same thing. Do you see how these two are the same thing? So this is in here, and this is in here. No. X plus 1 doesn't go into x plus 4. Okay? They're like a separate thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write x plus 4, x plus 1, x minus 2, that's plus, x plus 4, x plus 1 times x minus 2. Okay, I'm doing the same thing I did yesterday. Now, what do I have to do? What do you have to do to here? What would you have to do there to get there? You'd have to multiply by x plus 4, right? So let's do the same thing to the top. 5 times x plus 4. Okay, now this one. What do you have to multiply by? X plus 1. So you do the same to the top. So whatever you do to the bottom, do to the top. In a way, you will find this easier than yesterday. Not because it's because we're just adding one little thing on. You're not learning a whole new concept, okay? If you've learned yesterday, today won't be bad for you. Now, the top, well, the bottom together, we know, is going to be x plus 4 times x plus 1 times x minus 2. Okay, the top would be 5x plus 20, right? You got to multiply that 5 in, plus 2x plus 2. Okay, that would give us a final answer of 7x plus 22 all over x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x plus 4. X cannot equal 2, negative 1, negative 4. Okay. This is a nice question if you can see one thing. Because, or it's probably going to be impossible. Yes? Yes. So we always want to factor this first. So this would be 4 over p minus 1, p plus 1, plus 2 over p plus 1. Now what would be the... Now, do you know how impossible this question is if you don't see that one thing? Okay? Now, it's pretty easy to see. What would be a common denominator between these two? P minus 1, P plus 1. Do both of those go into that? Yeah. So it's a really easy question if you can see that the common denominator is P minus 1, P plus 1. Okay? So again, I'm being consistent as I possibly can, and I am going to do the same step that I always have done. I am going to convert the two fractions now to there over the common denominator. I'm not going to skip steps. Okay? Now what do I have to do to this denominator to get this denominator? I'll have to do the same here. Multiply by 1. Sure. 4 times 1 here is 4, right? That was a joke. Okay. What do I have to do to this one to get this one? Multiply by p minus 1, right? Okay. So now I will have 4 plus 2p minus 2 all over p minus 1, p plus 1. No, we have to combine like terms first, which would be 2p plus 2 all over p minus 1, p plus 1. I can take out a 2, which would leave me with p plus 1 all over p minus 1, p plus 1. Cancel top and bottom, and I will be left with 2 over p minus 1. P cannot equal plus or minus 1. Okay, 2 more examples. Let's do B. Now, what should you do first? Factor, okay? Now, we've got to be good at these now, right? It will be 2 things that add to negative 3, multiply to 2. That's 2 minus 1, okay? This one here would be y, two things that add to 1 and multiply to negative 2. Plus 2, y minus 1. So what would be a common denominator? Something that both of them go into. What would it be? Y minus 1, y minus 2, y plus 2. Okay? Can both of those fit in there? That means you found a common denominator, like 3 and 4. Common denominator is 12 because both of them fit into 12. 24. Okay? 24 is a common denominator. Now, what if you just wanted to multiply those all together? You can do that. It's going to be a ton more work for you. Okay? So if you can find a common denominator that can be a little bit smaller, it does save you in the end. Okay? So this will be, we're going to make this over y minus 1, y minus 2, y plus 2, plus over y minus 1, y plus 2, or y minus 2, y plus 2. Make them both the same, right? Okay, let's work with the first fraction. What do I have to multiply this denominator to get this denominator? Y plus 2. So I'm going to do the same thing to the top. Okay, this one here, what do I have to multiply by? Y minus 2. See, I just want to show you something really quick. What happens if now just look at this fraction alone, just that one. If I cancel this with this, what am I left with? My original. To show you that I haven't really changed the fraction, have I? I've just made it now so it's common, okay? So this would be y plus 2 plus 3y minus 6 all over y minus 1, y minus 2, y plus 2. I just multiplied my 1 in and my 3 in, right? Okay, now it's the top. I would have y plus 3y is 4y, 4y, and then 2 and negative 6 is minus 4 all over y minus 1, y minus 2, and y plus 2. Take out a 4. 4, y minus 1 all over y minus 1, y minus 2, and y plus 2. These questions are so contrived that it's like an insult to your intelligence, hey? You should cancel the y minus 1s? No. Leaving you with 4 over y minus 2, y plus 2. Okay. What would be the non-permissibles? Y cannot equal positive and negative 2 and 1. Okay, one more example. I don't think the bell will ring on me, but just let's finish this example even if it does. Okay, now let's do some factoring first. So hopefully we're getting a bit quicker at these. What are my two numbers on the top one? Negative 2 and negative 1. Okay, what two numbers add to negative 5 and multiply to give me 4? Negative 4, negative 1. Okay, I'm going to get these all done first before I go anywhere. Okay, next one. I'm at the top now. Two things that add to give me 10, multiply to give me 24. 4 and 6. Okay. Last one, two things that add to 8, multiply to 12. 6 and 2, yeah. Okay, now just looking within the fractions, is there anything I can do? I can cancel the x minus 1's in that fraction, right? And what about the second fraction? X plus 6 cancels. So now I am left with x minus 2 over x minus 4 minus x plus 4 over x plus 2. Okay, so it's not as ugly as it looked in the first place. Okay, it was pretty intense, but you know what's kind of cool is a big chunk of all the last unit we did, you just need to even do that just to start this thing. Okay, so this rational unit, it's not for the weak, that's for sure. Okay, if you got a weak stomach, this is not a good one for you. Now, what can we do next? How do I subtract these two? What do we need? Okay, what would be a common denominator? X minus 4, x plus 2. Okay, x minus 4, x plus 2, x minus 4, x plus 2. Okay, what do I have to do to x minus 2? Multiply by x plus 2. Okay, what do I have to do with x plus 4? Got to multiply by x minus 4. Now, come on you guys, x minus 2, x plus 2, what does that equal? X squared minus 4x. It's a difference of squares, isn't it? Yes, x squared minus 4, right? So, this is what we got. We got x squared minus 4 minus, what's x plus 4, x minus 4? X squared minus 16 all over x minus 4, x plus 2. Okay, let's see how good your algebra is. Now, I got x squared minus x squared. What is that? That's gone, right? What is negative 4 minus negative 16? Huh? 12, very good. So, I have 12 over x minus 4, x plus 2. Do you see what happened here? Everyone get it? What are my non-permissibles? Positive 4, negative 2. And this is where people throw this question away. This is where they stop. Did you look through the whole question for non-permissibles, or just the end? If you look at just the end, you're getting these wrong. This is a trap, right? So also negative 1 is bad, right? Or plus 1, sorry. And negative 6. Where? Right at the beginning. Where are you, magic pen? Don't forget about this one and this one, okay? They were there at one time. That means they're always bad. Okay? So what am I doing? I'm doing the steps again, just like we've always done. And getting a common denominator, making sure you always factor every spot out first. Take out common if you can, or factor into the x, y. Good things will happen. These are very, very contrived questions. They're, they're meant to reward those that do it and make sure your life is horrible if you don't. Okay? So make life easier on yourself unless you're a sucker for punishment and you enjoy that sort of thing. Okay, so we're 1 to 7. Just do the odds instead of 1 to 11. Oh. Okay. Got about 3-4 minutes. See if you can get a couple questions done. I guess we don't have 3-4 minutes. I feel like it's a movie or a TV show. You notice that the teacher always just finished it and then the bell rings?